Hi everyone, this is Wolf Branch Homestead, Wolf Branch Art on Etsy. We're going to make this video not only to accompany our Etsy listing, but also to introduce everybody on our YouTube channel to what we have just listed. Here we have 7 deer hides from whitetail deer from the 2022 hunting season. What we do is we go to our local processors that normally just discard these hides. They don't have any purpose, they go to waste. And that's something that we really got passionate about, was picking these deer hides up and giving them a new purpose. We think it's really important to be able to utilize every part of the animal. One of the major parts that does go to waste is the hide. A lot of the time, the processors are just getting all of that meat prepared, getting that ready for the person that harvested the deer. Sometimes they'll have a head mount, a shoulder mount. Really not as common around here for anything like that, especially even full body mounts. So for the most part, these hides are going to go to waste. So a lot of the time we'll get these nicer large size hides. And sometimes the smaller ones like those up there will be where maybe they did have that shoulder mount done, or there might have been too much damage on the hide. So we're going to introduce you to all the hides we have available now on Etsy. Hopefully by the time this video gets seen a little bit more, maybe some of those will already be sold. But we just want to go ahead again and talk to you about the process a little bit and show you some of these hides. So 2022-01 is our first hide, and it is at our local flea market booth to see if anybody's interested up there in possibly purchasing these hides. So this is -02, -03, -04, 05, 06, 07, and 08. We have one more hide. I didn't get smoked yet, so you should be seeing another hide come up available soon. But this is just to give you an idea of what we have available. So with -02, this is the only one that doesn't have a tail. The rest of them have a deboned tail attached. For the most part, they're in really good shape, except for this one down here. This was an earlier season hide. It had a lot of blood on it when we first got it, and if you have a lot of blood in that hair side, it can cause the hair to slip really bad. So this one in particular is the one that looks the least great out of all of them. And the tail is on there, but it is a little bit haggard, so it might just be removed. But if you take this hide, it lays really well flat, and if you were to roll this up, it can still make a nice backpack mount. You could even, if you were going to do something like that, take some hair and shave it off from the top part there and do some glue work on the bottom, and it might not look too bad. That's what a lot of these that are less favorable, you can do a lot of crafting with them, and it can still be used for something. So price-wise, all of our prices on Etsy, anything over $35 from our shop gets free shipping. So all of these have free shipping included with them. Remember also that when it comes to these hides, we are not a large tannery. We don't have tannery equipment. We're doing this all by hand ourselves, and price reflects the time and the effort that goes into these. But if you look at some other prices of hides on Etsy, we are pretty competitive with what we have, and we try to be very upfront and honest about any blemishes with them and show you what the hides look like, how flexible or unflexible they might be. But for the most part, they're really good, pliable hides. We don't take and shave these down. We leave them just like they are, so that's why you have a little bit of that stiffness. But on the low end of this hide right here would be $65 free shipping. Again, it's not as favorable, a little bit smaller, we have that hair slip, but still can have something done with it. So remember that your pricing, again, also includes free shipping, and we do have fees that we have to cover selling on Etsy. But good news on that, if you really want to help us out and help us avoid the fees, we have special links in our description below where if you do purchase a hide through that link, then we don't have to pay fees on that because we're advertising it on our own. So you'll get free shipping, and again, also a lot of that price is for us putting the work into these hides. So again, we're starting off at about 65 free shipping here. The smaller ones up top are going to be somewhere around 75 for no tail, 80 with tail. We get up into the larger ones here, and we're at 100 because these are longer, they're fuller hides. And there's a lot more that goes into these, not only with the process of tanning them and getting them stretched out, and you have a lot more to work with on these. This one in particular, though, we are missing some of the side. This is a very good pliable hide. Another one that looked like it might have been a younger deer, and really, really flexible. These two on the sides of it, a little more stiffness to them, but they are still really flexible, and we'll show you what that looks like after we kind of go through and talk about them some more. So you get up into 100 free shipping on these because they are larger. Now again, we are pretty competitively priced with this. We see a lot of them from anywhere to 120 all the way up into the 200s on deer hides. And we're trying to be as transparent as possible about how we source these, how we tan them, what the quality of them is. We know they're not 100% perfect, but again, not a tannery situation. We also can't control how the deer was harvested, how it was skinned, but the processors have done a very good job in working with us on how to keep these hides folded up until we get them. So these hides are from the 2022 deer season, which, goes from 2022 into the beginning of 2023. Again, white-tailed deer hides, really nice. Now these are probably mid-season hides for the most part because of the fur quality or the hide quality on them, or it's not really, really thick, mainly only around the belly section, the white. And that's why a lot of these do not have white sometimes on the side of that, because the white is going to be on the belly of the deer. And when they're going to process this deer and gut it, they're going to be removing that section. It's going to be very stained up, so it's very difficult to keep those. Again, unless you're really controlling the process and you're skinning yourself, sometimes it's very hard to get a really good quality hide when you're going and just sourcing from the processor. But again, really trying to do our part to reduce waste and give these hides a new purpose, because it's not something we've harvested. It's already been harvested, so we're just trying to find something that we can do with these and provide them to other people for things that they want to make with them, crafts, display, what have you. Now, as far as flexibility goes, again, some of these larger ones are a little more stiff, but here's an idea of what the underside looks like, pardon the leaves that are on there, and also what the flexibility is like. So they are white, but they are a little bit tan color because we do lightly smoke these to help preserve them, because we do take them through a chemical process for tanning. We don't brain tan because chronic wasting disease is now in Alabama. So we do this chemically where we don't have anything to do with the brain, and we go through that tanning process, but the real preservation of the hide is getting that smoke in there. So hours and hours of smoking. It's a little bit more difficult on these because we have them in bulk to get that really nice brown color, but this still does the trick right here. Now you can see in our videos on Etsy, we have a 15-second video that shows what we're doing here, which is just waving these around so you can see they're not completely stiff, and you don't hear that clacking sound. That's just up there waving, but you don't hear the clacking of a stiff hide. And you can see how they fold also. That lets you know they are pliable. They can be folded up. Now as I'm moving them, apologies, we are getting leaves on them, but we'll get everything cleaned up. Putting my camera lens cover in my pocket here, I apologize. So again, this one on the larger side, even though we're missing that side right there, this is still a really nice, flexible hide that can be folded up. And some of these that are a little bit thinner, you could make some really neat crafts with, but for the most part, a lot of people will take these and display them with a mount, or they'll turn them into a rug, a wall hanging, what have you. We've taken some of the stiffer ones that have a little bit thicker underside to them, and I've made an arrow quiver for my husband out of it. And we have people that'll take them and kind of piece them together and make little capes or something out of them. A lot of different things you can do with them. Again, even this one, though we do have that hair slip, very, very flexible, very thin, and it folds up really well. So you could definitely cut this up and do something really nice with it. Now, as to, again, pricing wise on these, we're looking at 65, 75, 80, 80, and then 100. What we do is we go to the processor and we pick up what's considered a green hide. They shouldn't actually be green in color, but they're going to have fat, blood, meat on them. They're going to be just straight up removed off the animal, folded up, and then left for us to come do our part. So we'll pick these hides up, we bring them back, and there's hours upon hours of fleshing involved with this. So I can typically take about an hour or more to do a decent sized hide. I would say something larger, depending on how much is on it, is usually over an hour. So I have a whole group of them I bring back. This is all from the same group. And you also have to remember, when I pick this group up, I have one I haven't smoked yet, and I also have one that's already at the flea market booth. So we had a nice big group of them, quite a few hours of work, and then after that, they get rinsed out and cleaned and put in the tanning solution for a week. Every day we're going in there and turning those hides, getting them spread out so that the tanning solution's really penetrating the hide. And then after that, we go rinse them out again, get them cleaned up. Then we have to take these and wring them. So fleshing's all done by hand. When they're tanning, they're in a big barrel together. Wringing is a really big deal because we're actually taking, you can see in some of our older videos, and we have a beam fastened between two trees. And we take the wet hide and we roll it in a way over that beam and then put a stick through there and wring it. So that's another labor-intensive process. So we're getting most of the liquid out of the hide. Then they go out and they hang on the line in the sun. And they start to dry out a lot better. They stay out there for quite a while. And then when they get finished and they're almost dried where you can still work them, then comes the stretching process. All done by hand again. No big equipment for that. Tanneries have a lot of equipment that help them make the process go a lot smoother, get the hides looking really nice. So I really appreciate what they do to not only cut down on waste with those hides, but also the quality they have. But if you're looking for something a little more affordable and supporting somebody that's a small business that's just trying to do their part in their own community, then we really appreciate you considering purchasing from us. So we go through the stretching process where we're getting all of this, I guess you'd say the fibers underneath. I can't quite think of the wording today. But we're getting all of that broke up. As it starts to dry, here's an example of one that's not as flexible, but you can still see that it moves pretty well. As the hide starts to dry and tighten up, it'll look blue. And what we do is we're taking and breaking that apart. They'll call it breaking the hide, and that blue will separate out and turn white. So we're doing that process as well. When we actually go through the process of fleshing them out, we have to also go in on the tails if we're keeping the tails on there, and we have to remove around the hind end, cut down the tail, and pull the bone out. So sometimes, like this one over here where I said the tail looked a little bit rough, we had a hard time where that section of hide was in getting that tail off. So it came out, like I said, a little bit haggard, but it is still present. Some people will take the tails and make fly fishing lures out of them. So that's why, if it is a little bit savable, I'll still leave it on there because people do use the buck tails for fly fishing. But after the process of getting these stretched out, then we go on to actually getting them smoked, which is another process of quite a long time, quite a few hours of tending where these are hanging up at, where it's smoking at. And that was the main part of why these hides weren't immediately available, is I had to get a new smoking setup for this year. So that's why they weren't immediately available after getting them done. Sorry, my camera strap is moving around here. But again, all very small, done by us, small batches like this, and go through the process entirely by hand. And it's really important to us. This is something my husband taught me how to get into, and then I kind of took over from there, where he just started out showing me with small things, and I got so into it that this became not only a hobby but a source of alternate income for us. So it's just my husband and I that work on these, and like I said, this is going all the way from the point it's removed off the animal up to what you see now. Some of you may be visiting this video directly from Etsy, where we put the link in the description on these hides. Some of you might be seeing this on our channel. So we're just going to kind of cover this really quickly for everybody as a whole. So if you've missed any of our previous videos, or you're coming from Etsy and you're not familiar with the channel, then you'll know a little bit more about it. So with this, again, these aren't deer that we've taken. When it comes to processing, a lot of the time, these hides are just going to get tossed. Nothing's really going to get done with them. And we've worked with quite a few processors over the years. One we worked with for many years, they had to close down during the era of COVID. So we're working with a new processor now, and I'm very happy. Even though, we did have to do a lot of trimming on these, they did really, really nice about not having a lot of cut marks on these hides, folding them up really nicely so that we could save as much hair as possible on them. Again, some of these, in particular, when you have somebody that's bow hunting, you can get a lot of blood where the entry and exit is on these, and so that's why you can have hair slip like this, because you're working against the clock. But they did really, really nice with these hides, so we're very thankful for how these look. Now, I think a lot of with this, because we do have larger hides, and again, we do have some stiffness around the edges, I think if I could have got to these a little bit sooner, getting them smoked, we would have been fine, and they wouldn't have been as tough. But again, these are still really nice. They are flexible, and they're suitable for rolling up and making something with, or cutting. And sometimes when you take these and you trim them, they'll soften up a little bit, the rough edges get off. So if you're looking to trim your hides and cut them up for craft use or something like that, make sure to not use scissors. Carefully use an X-Acto knife is our best tip for that. Be very safe about it. And cut from the underside. Let me flip some of the debris off there. But when you cut from the underside very carefully, and you'll help keep your edges covered up by hair that way. You see on the bottom here where this has been cut, but you can see all the hair covering that. Now look what it looks like on the other side. You can barely tell you have a cut edge there because that hair is covering it up. If you cut this with scissors, you're going to have a really ugly edge, and it's going to be matched up like that, and you're going to see your edge. But if you take with an X-Acto knife and cut carefully, then you'll maintain this hair covering up the edge on the bottom side. The top is very hard to do that with, but for all of your edges and your bottom side, that's the best way to go if you're going to cut this and you want to preserve some hair over the edge like that. But again, really nice for crafting. So again, when it comes to our pricing for selling these hides on Etsy, we do have a variety of factors. We're valuing our time and our work that went into getting these ready for sale, but we also have to consider not only our fees through Etsy, which is their portion that they make off of this, as far as them doing a lot of advertising and having them available, hosting them on the website. We're also looking at not only that, but our shipping costs as well, because anything ordered through our shop that's over $35 gets free shipping. So you're not having to pay extra for that. It's factored into the cost of the hide. And we kind of ship them all over the US, so this helps people in different areas. Now, one thing we do want to make sure to mention at the end of this here is if you're looking to purchase a hide from us, please do your homework with your state's regulations. Look or contact somebody with your state wildlife department, or check the hunting regulations for your state and make sure that it's legal for you to purchase these hides. When we first started researching this a few years ago, there were some states we could not sell in, so make sure that you look this up. This is your responsibility to be able to look up your current regulations for your state. This is in place for a variety of reasons, including chronic wasting disease. So again, note that they were not brain tanned, they were chemically tanned. They're free of any kind of matter on them, where a lot of the time any residue left over like that from the brain, and I think from the spinal cord, different things like that, that's what you're trying to avoid. So you have nothing like that on here. But you still need to check your state regulations as to the purchase of these. And if you have any questions, again, contact your state wildlife office. They should be able to help you out. But please do your homework on this before you make a purchase. And we'll double check everything afterwards. But again, make sure to go ahead and look this up before you possibly purchase. One final thing about this is, yeah, this is something that we do, but we encourage others to get involved in tanning too. This isn't something we're just trying to gatekeep. We really want people to be involved in helping reduce waste. So learn about tanning for yourself. Again, study your state regulations regarding that, what you can possess, what you can tan, what you can sell, things like that. You don't have to be a hunter. You don't have to be a homesteader to get involved with this. We have a lot of examples, again, that we talk about in other videos, where people can be vegan or vegetarian and they want to reduce waste and give respect to that animal. And in a case like that, as we've mentioned, you can donate your proceeds however you want, or you can donate the hides to a Native Heritage Center, somebody that can really put these to use and make something very culturally significant to them. We want to make sure that we encourage other people to get involved in tanning and do the same thing, because again, this is only a handful of hides. Can you imagine how many go through a single processor in 1 year? This is just one trip. This is all they had at that time. This was the middle of the season. Opening day can probably be really busy, especially at the end of the season when people are finishing up. So I can only imagine what the next town over gets, or what somebody in a different state may get. So look into possibly tanning for yourself. And also, when it comes to this and talking about the proceeds from the hides, again, for us, a purchase of a hide not only enables us to continue doing this to cover our supplies, it also goes back towards other homestead expenses, so tending to all of our animal friends, and just, again, that source of alternate income. It's not a main source, but every little bit does help. And so with something like that, our puppy dog says hello. Speaking of animal friends, when it comes to the hides, it's also, every purchase is a source of pride, because it means that something that we put our hard work into has now found a new home. I know you're howling. It's almost your birthday. Not quite. I think he's excited. He knows he's going to get a birthday treat in a few days. But again, purchases inspire us to continue doing this. It gives us the space to be able to continue doing it by moving inventory. It gives us the funding to be able to continue to do it. And it also helps get the word out. If somebody just, one time shares that message with somebody of, hey, I got this from somebody that was going to processors and picking up something that was getting tossed away. Well, maybe that'll inspire somebody else to look into it and look into tanning. And we hope that all around it has a really good impact. And again, for us, each hide is very special, because even though it wasn't an animal that we took, we still are trying to give respect to it by utilizing all of the parts. There are so many things that you can do with a harvested deer, not just using the meat, but even the legs. They'll take and remove the lower legs when they're processing these deer. And we'll go and pick up the legs. And you can take that leg and break it down and use the bone for making deer leg bone needles. You'll see those on our Etsy shop as well. That's another thing that we get and we use. You can take and tan the hide off of that leg. You can use hot water to remove the hooves, and then you can make crafts with the hooves. You can take off the back of the bone and remove that piece of tendon, that sinew, and you can use that. There are so many ways you can break down every part of the animal. So again, hunters, be sure to learn more about tanning and using all of the parts of your animal, and be responsible with your harvest. Not just the hides, but everything. Even the skulls. You can make a mount out of that. You can utilize parts of the bone. Some people even make survival fish hooks with the nasal bone. So again, keep in mind regulations, and make sure if you're in an area where chronic wasting disease is prevalent, make sure to have that head tested. So it wouldn't be going to waste if you can confirm your deer was not ill. But be sure to use every part that you possibly can and be responsible. But in summarizing everything, again, we hope that you'll consider having a look at our Etsy store and seeing all of our hides. Now these are from last year, from 2022, but we are getting ready to actively get started again in tanning for this year. Our deer season has opened up here in Alabama, not only bow but also gun. And so we're going to be trying to go and get some more hides this year. We try to get as much as we can manage, so sometimes it's only around 10 a year. I'm hoping to increase that now that we have a little bit better setup this year. But last year I wasn't able to get too many, so you're seeing everything that we have in stock. So keep checking back with us. If you missed these hides, you missed the one that you wanted to get, well, keep checking back with us. And make sure to subscribe and have your notifications on the channel, because while we are going to talk more about our crafting and what's on Etsy, there's lots of fun videos here too. We hope you'll join us to see more of our livestock, our wildlife, things like that. So check back in with us. Make sure you have your notifications on, and then we'll make more videos when we go pick up some more deer hides and when we get them all finished up, so we can introduce those hides to you as well. Well, now that our hides are back in our bin here to get put up, since they've been listed, we just want to say that we hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about them, and we hope that you not only are inspired to learn some more about tanning, but also that maybe one of you will be interested in one of these hides. And we thank everybody for their support, not only watching the videos and joining our channel, but also anybody that purchases a hide. We really appreciate it. And hey, if you're interested in getting quite a few of them at one time so we can bundle all of our shipping, check with us for a discount and let us know which ones you're interested in, and we can work from there if you're interested in getting a few of them, like we said. Other than that, again, I appreciate everybody watching with us. We hope you all have a wonderful day and take care. We'll see you again in our next video.